but they won't be fighting to figure out who's strongest. A mediocre Magic player will be determining who they think the strongest hero is from heavy hitters. And that person is War Crimes Uwu. Say hi.
Hello, my name is Fred. My channel's at War Crimes Uwu on YouTube. I am, as Mike said, a mediocre Magic player. Won a couple of PPTQs. My most recent achievement is placing second in the Mana Vault Milwaukee Anniversary Legacy Tournament.
These are brand new cards. Last time you evaluated some classic heroes and classic attack actions. This time it's going to be all heroes. And this time, because Heavy Hitters is themed around a gladiator arena, I'm going to give you two at a time, and you're going to tell me which you think is the best. And then the one that you think is the worst will be eliminated. And then we're going to do 3 rounds of that, leaving us with 3 heroes. And then you will just eliminate one hero. They'll be the third place. And then you'll figure out who's the best out of the 2 remaining. There is kind of 2 clear strongest heroes in the competitive format right now, power-wise and consistency-wise, out of these heroes. But I'm going to start by giving you the Warriors.
Yeah, I've got these 2 pulled up, so I'll go ahead and read them out. Kasai of the Golden Sand, Warrior hero, 4 opening hand size and 40 health. Is that right?
Yes.
If you've drawn a card this turn, your sword attacks cost a cherry less to activate. Once per turn action, banish 2 red and 2 yellow cards from your graveyard. The next time a weapon you control hits a hero this turn, create a gold token and go again. Okay, that's a lot of text. My gut instinct is too much text to be bad. But let's read this other one. Olympia, prized fighter, warrior hero, 4 and 40 again, right? And then the first time each of your attacks wins a wager, create a gold token. Okay.
I'm going to send you a gold token and an example of a wager card now.
So gold, you can pay 2 cherries, destroy gold, draw a card, go again. Okay. There might be some sort of like trick going on here, but my gut is that there isn't. And like, so it feels like, so Kasai has a way to make a gold token and go again. And Olympia can just make a gold token, not go again. Now this is the once per turn action, of course, but I feel like it is not that unrealistic to banish 2 red and 2 yellow from your graveyard. I'm going like looking at Magic, like some of the Delve cards. I'm comparing this to like Treasure Cruise, which is banned in almost every format it would be legal in, and that's like, do you know what Delve is in Magic, Mike?
No, I do not.
It's the spells have like a big generic cost and then 1 actual mana or some amount of actual colored mana. And you can pay mana for the generic cost, or you can exile cards from your graveyard to pay it. So like
Okay.
Treasure Cruise is 7 in a blue, draw 3 cards. But if you have 7 cards in your graveyard, you can just exile them and draw 3 cards. So I'm looking at the
Gotcha.
second ability on this and thinking like, if it's anything like Magic, that's not really much of a cost at all.
Just so you know, the weapon has to hit for you to get the gold token.
Sure, no, I get that. But I'm saying like, you have to win a wager with the other guy, which I know means the weapon has to hit with that one too.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So this has that effect, which I'm going to say is probably, if not better, then only a little worse than the other guy. And then she's got a whole other effect. If you've drawn a card this turn, your sword attacks cost a red less to activate. I think it's Kasai, and I think it's not close. What I'm imagining is that Olympia is like sort of a more budget hero, like he's the shitty one that you have if you can't afford Kasai. And I'm locking that in. That's my answer.
You are absolutely correct, and I'm glad
Okay.
that you are correct because this is the easiest pair. Um,
It seemed too easy, so I was sitting here like, is there some sort of trick? Is there a way to do infinite wagers in a turn? Like, oh,
there
but then
is
it's the
no
first time.
trick.
Wager. Never mind. Yeah, okay. I was like, I can't overthink this. So I'm glad I got this one right.
Yeah. So the only success that people have seen with Olympia is someone went 9-0 at a Road to Nationals somewhere. In everywhere else, Kasai has been the go-to warrior. That first ability is insane. There are these swords. Basically, if they block with an attack action card, the sword gets +2 and it's already a 3. Or no, it's a 2 and it goes to 4 if they block with an attack action card, and then they cost 1 to attack with. But if you manage to generate any gold in the game, you just can pitch a blue, draw a card, or pitch a yellow, draw a card, and then both of your swords are free for attacks. Olympia's major problem is just that he's insulary with the set mechanics. So he has one set of support, whereas Kasai has 2 already established good weapons and a ton of warrior support outside of the set with attack reactions and good blocks. Correct right off the bat.
Yeah, I'll take the W on this one. I'm assuming the other ones are harder because I was getting the vibes from that one of like Lightning Bolt versus like the 5-mana Lightning Bolt that like I'm fine with playing in limited.
The next 2 heroes are the 2 Guardian heroes.
Betsy, skin in the game, 440 again. Okay, and then we've got whenever an attack you control wagers, you may pay 2 raisins. If you do, the attack gets +1 damage and overpower. It can't be defended by more than 1 action card. Okay, so so the wager is where you have to use an effect to wager, and if you wager, you get a gold if it hits, and they get a gold if it doesn't.
Yeah, you can wager a majority of things, but the one I showed you.
But you have to have an effect that wagers. You can't just be like, I'm wagering on this attack.
Correct. You have to have a buff or an attack that states that you're wagering.
Okay. So right off the bat, this is not doing much for me. It feels like, double red is like an actual meaningful cost, and like I don't know, +1 and overpower just doesn't seem that good. So let's read the other one. Victor Goldmane, High and Mighty. He's an important character in the lore, I think, because you told me that people just call him the horse.
Yeah. People don't like him.
Okay, the first time each turn you create a gold token from an effect you control, draw a card. Okay. The first time each turn you would fail to win a clash. That does not include a wager. That's different from a wager.
I will send you an example of a clash.
So this card seems like it would definitely go in a Victor Goldmane deck.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my heuristic of the last one is, more text is probably a better card. Drawing a card is pretty huge, and like creating a gold token from an effect doesn't seem that hard. It seems like something you can kind of like, because a gold token is less valuable in a card because it's basically a card you have to pay for. I'm thinking that they can add making a gold token as a rider to a lot of effects in the same way that they would make like making a clue just a bonus effect on some magic cards. So I'm thinking that this first effect is actually probably pretty easy to achieve. The first time you would fail to win like it lets you win clashes. I don't know. I'm dubious about whether this secondary effect will happen that often. But the other character, I just don't feel like her ability, activating her ability in the first place has the same cost as cracking a gold token. And that just does not, +1 and overpower just does not seem that sauce to me. So I think I've got to say, also, like, people don't grow to hate a character usually unless they're kind of, a boogeyman in a format. Like, people hate Jason the Mind Sculptor because of how much he, like, ruined Standard and Pioneer, or Modern. So, like, or Legacy. So knowing what I know about anger built up around this card, I guess, by Flesh and Blood players or this character, I'm gonna say it's probably Victor Goldmane. I'm gonna call it Victor Goldmane.
Yeah. Once again, you are correct.
My reasoning makes sense. I want to be right about it for the right reason. That's almost as important to me.
Betsy is unfortunately not run. And you would kind of never run this until Bravo rotates, because Overpower is just a worse Dominate, and this is conditional Overpower, where Bravo is just pay 2 to dominate. So you always just run Bravo over Betsy. Victor, on the other hand, this little shit ruins any type of cute value matchup. If you want to try to play Assassin, or if you want to try to get under and go aggro, it's just impossible. He has the same equipment setup as Bravo, which means he starts out with, I believe, like 52 or 54 health effectively instead of 40. And also a lot of his blocks clash, and if he wins the clash, create gold and other stuff. So he can block out really efficiently, and still start his turn with like a 3-card hand. Because usually the trade-off in Flesh and Blood is block with these cards, I have less cards on my offense. And with Victor, he says, I'm going to block your whole hand and still have 3 cards to play.
It gives him a lot of like flexibility in terms of offense versus defense.
Yeah, and there are definitely decks that can get over him. Stuff like Illusionist that goes wide, Azalea, or Bravo that can go tall and dominate. The last 2 are the Brutes. Rhinar is a reprint. He has already existed.
Okay, so if people were mad about him being reprinted, it's probably people who have a binder full and he's expensive, and cards don't get expensive without being good.
I don't know if that's the logic you want to go with, but I'll let you do whatever you want.
Well, you might be trying to mislead me. Let me read the card. Okay,
Okay.
We've got 440 again. Whenever you discard a card with 6 or more damage during your action phase, Intimidate. Target hero banishes face down a card from their hand at the beginning of the end of the phase, return all cards banished to their hand. Okay, so when you discard big cards, your opponent loses their cards for a turn. Right? Is that kind of
Yeah.
Am I reading that right?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
cool.
when
So your opponent loses
you
the card temporarily.
yeah, when you discard big card, they discard one of their cards at random until the end of
For
the
the
turn.
Okay, and the random is important because it could fuck up their strategy. You know, they're not getting rid of the least relevant card until the end of turn like it would be if they picked it. Okay, good
Correct. Everything in Brute, or a lot of things in Brute, is random.
Yeah, Kaio, Armed and Dangerous. 440 again. So all these heroes have 440. Okay.
Yeah.
You have 1 weapon zone. You may only have one-handed weapon or offhand equipped. Okay, so right here, he's got a drawback. So I have to analyze the rest of the card against whether the drawback is worth it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Attack action cards you own get +1 damage while they are in any zone other than the combat chain. So that includes discarding. Okay, the first time you discard a card with 6 or more power during each of your action phases, create a might token. I'm going to need to see that might token.
This is a might token.
Okay, at the start of your turn, destroy this, then your next attack this turn gets +1 damage. Okay, so it's a very small buff to damage once. Now, I don't know if there are other cards that give you some kind of benefit when you sacrifice might tokens, or, you know, let you use your might tokens for other things. So I don't really understand why people would get mad at them reprinting a bad card, unless it was like, so like in Magic, when they reprint a bad card in a Master set, people get mad because the packs are $10 and there's a 25-cent rare that's not even good and limited in there. Right, the classic example, like Double Masters 2022, which came out 2 years ago now, had Splinter Fright at rare, which is like not even good enough to be playable and limited, and 25 cents. And the packs of that set were $12 with 2 rares. So like, there's 2 sort of opposite ends of people being pissed about things getting reprinted. You have like people who have binders full of an expensive card getting mad when that gets reprinted, and then everyone getting mad when a bad card gets reprinted at a higher rarity. Am I allowed to know the rarities of these cards?
They're both Majestics. All heroes are Majestics that take up a token slot.
Okay, and how often do those show up in like a booster box?
Not very often. But Rhinar got new special art.
I'm gonna say this is probably a shitty card that's taking up a valuable slot, and that's why people are mad about it. Don't tell me whether I'm right or wrong.
Okay.
Now, I can't say that I find it terribly likely that the condition of discarding a 6 or more power card is going to be met that often. So I whichever one of these is better, I don't think it's the best of the 3 finalists. I'm gonna say I think Rhinar. Now that you've told me that Rhinar got reprinted at a high slot, I think that's what people are mad at. That he took up a slot, like it's sort of the feeling of like, imagine I pull a Majestic, which doesn't happen very often, and then it's this bozo. So I'm going to say that Kaio, Armed and Dangerous is the more powerful of these 2 cards by that logic. Am I right?
Can you tell me why KO is stronger?
So, like, in terms of the actual, like, what they do,
yeah.
I don't really know whether Intimidating or making a Might token is actually better. The action cards you own get +1 while they're in any other zone than the combat chain does allow you to build the deck with a bunch of 5 power cards. And have them still be counted toward his thing, which gives you deck building flexibility. So that's what I'm imagining. And is that worth having 1 weapon zone? I don't know. I feel like might tokens might be more valuable than Intimidating, and that the being allowed to play 5 damage attacks and have them still count for your discardability probably pushes this into being better than the other one. But I'm going ahead and saying it now. KO is not the best of the 3. I think he's probably going to be the worst of the 3 in the second round. But I'm saying KO is better than the other one.
You are actually super correct.
Okay, word.
That first line of text makes the brute line so much less clunky. The problem with brutes in the past has been a lot of so the brutes' whole identity is strong attacks, but stuff is random. So these heroes in these classes are built around discarding cards and stuff. So the condition to discard a 6 or more will most likely be met if you build the deck correctly, because you are discarding a lot of cards, in return getting more powerful attacks. The problem was these decks were always mana starved, because you would have to run yellows and reds to attack with like 4 mana attacks. So you would never get that many attacks off in a turn. It's not like Guardian, where you're pitching 6 for 12. You're pitching like 4 for 8. But with KO, you can run blue 5s that when you discard them, turn into the 6s, like you said. Now that brutes can run blues, their entire deck building is wide open.
Okay, that makes sense. The flexibility aspect.
Yeah. And also, again, because this set was built around Warriors, Brutes, and Guardians, Brutes got a bunch of really good support cards as well. The one weapon zone doesn't really matter that much. Brutes don't really want to attack with weapons very much anyway. You just like attach one of the claws to them, and that's a 3-attack weapon for when it's necessary. Like, it's fine. Oh no, I don't get to run 2 claws. Cool.
Right. You don't really care.
Yeah.
I didn't realize using the weapon had as much of an opportunity cost to where including only one wouldn't be that much of a downside. So that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm 3 for 3 so far. Let's go into the last round.
You are 3 for 3. This is honestly probably the tightest race for who is the better brute. Also, people were mad because they didn't announce originally that the Majestic heroes weren't taking up a Majestic slot.
Oh.
So this doesn't count to your 6 to 8 Majestics. And they didn't say that originally.
6 to 8 Majestics per box?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they were like...
When you said Majestic, I thought you meant like one or two a box.
But people didn't realize that wasn't taking up a Mythic or a Majestic slot. So people were like, oh shit, maybe one of my 6 Majestics in a bad box is this reprinted hero? Great. Love that.
Okay, yeah, that is the feeling that Magic players are pretty well familiar with. So, looking at these, we've got KO Armed and Dangerous, we've got Victor Goldmane High and Mighty, and we've got Kasaya the Golden Sand. I'm gonna go ahead and eliminate KO. I don't think he's as good as these other two.
You're eliminating KO right off the bat.
Yeah, don't tell me if that's right or wrong, because that.
I just want you to explain why you think he's the weakest of these 3.
It feels like both these other cards generate some kind of actual material in terms of like the ability to have access to more cards or more choices. And I mean, you know, I'm the eternal sort of mid-range player, right? In Magic, like I love Jund and stuff, so maybe that's my bias coming in, but it feels like KO does not generate any kind of card advantage. He doesn't give you any kind of actual like resources, or he doesn't increase the amount of choices you have to make. Whereas it feels like both of these other characters do. Victor through the drawing cards when you create gold tokens and potentially like redoing your clashes, and then, you know, Kasai through being able to make gold tokens by exchanging cards from the graveyard, which are like sort of already spent resources. So that's my thought.
Understandable.
Is he doesn't generate any actual kind of card advantage. And I feel like just from the way that you've described Victor, I'm leaning toward him. Although, like, personally, I don't know. It all comes down to, and don't tell me how easy it is, but it all comes down to like how easy it's going to be to do Kasai's once per turn, banishing 2 red and 2 yellow. You know, I want to believe like maybe that there's enough ways to dump things in the graveyard that you don't even really care about that. But you've talked up Victor as like sort of a boogeyman in the format, so to speak. Man, this is tough. I think also, I guess, like Kasai being forced to use swords, although that's not really an issue because you said there's like a busted pair of swords that people really like.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna say Victor is the best, but you know, this is very close between Victor and Kasai, but I think I'm gonna say it's Victor. Watch me have them completely in the opposite order.
I would not say you're completely opposite.
Okay, was I right that KO was the worst one? Because that was what I was the most sure about.
No, I think right out the gate, it was Kasai and KO were definitely the strongest by far.
Okay, so the one I said was the best was the worst.
And Kasai has kind of fallen off. So I think currently I would say Kasai is the weakest.
Oh, okay. And then KO, and then Victor, or and then Victor, and then.
I think my own bias kind of got in the way of your evaluation. I think Victor is the quintessential good control deck out of this format right now, and I think he is the second strongest of these three. I did forget to say you definitely chose the correct for the stronger of the three heroes.
Okay, good.
All of the other heroes are definitely not as good as these three.
Yeah, when you're evaluating two heroes of the same class, they're gonna have like similar enough abilities that you can kind of tell which one is worse.
Yeah. So Bloodrush Bellows and Cast Bones and all of the good brute attacks has just warranted KO a lot of play and a lot of wins just because him being able to run 5 power blues that turn on the whole deck is crazy.
Yeah, that does seem really powerful.
Yeah. And then Victor just kind of walls all of the cutesy aggro decks. And then Kasai is unfortunately kind of just been pushed out of the meta, out of these three.
Well, then I'm glad I didn't say she was the strongest.
Yeah. But KO is definitely not the weakest.
Okay. Well, I'm happy I got the right out of all the pairs. I feel pretty good about that. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, this was really fun. I continue to be pretty okay at evaluating Flesh and Blood cards.
Yeah, it's like all of the card games are cut from the same paper cutter.
I don't know. Gameplay wise, this one's definitely very different from Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon. I feel like
Yes, it's
it feels like
extremely
it has a leap
different.
in common just in terms of like the gameplay loop and like the value of a card and stuff. Like just different, like very basic concepts. Like it just is a little bit different from the other big three.
Yes,
Which,
I would definitely say
might
that.
eventually be the big four. Although I feel like Flesh and Blood is a little bit more of a card game player's card game. Like
Yeah.
usually I've found that Flesh and Blood players already play a different card game first.
Definitely, I would agree. It's no Lorcana.
Yeah, right. Yeah, which I hope that doesn't become big four.
That's
Yeah,
a
this has been
topic
really
for
fun.
another
Thank you for
day.
having me on. Right. Thank you for having me on. I had a great time.
Yeah, I'm glad that you are enjoying them, and don't you worry, they've already announced the next set. So
Okay, well I'll be ready for the next set. May I plug?
you may absolutely plug.
All right. My YouTube channel is at War Crimes Uwu. There's underscores in there. I do Magic limited content primarily, a little bit of video essay stuff too, on and off Magic video essays. Yeah, and I'm just a mid-ass Magic player. So you might catch me on the Twitch live stream of the finals of a Legacy tournament again soon. You might not.
That's fair. The link to your channel is going to be in the description, so go down there to check it out. And yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, make sure to subscribe to both me and Fred, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.
Goodbye.